It was 100. Um, we shall not. Feel awkward.
No.
You feel my nervousness?
Yeah.
Anyone want to get up here and help me out? To throw me a life preserver? I've felt this way many times. I've had these moments speaking where I've completely flubbed my speech. And it is a humiliating experience. It was 1901. Winston Churchill was 26 years old. And he got up for the first time in the House of Commons to speak to the leaders of Great Britain, his friends, his associates, the greatest minds out there. And he strode forth into the middle of the stage. He opened his mouth with his carefully rehearsed speech. Nothing came out. He completely choked up. And I gave you about 30 seconds of that discomfort. He went on for 3 minutes now.
Jonas, I have to totally agree. 3 minutes of standing up there, I can't imagine what he was going through.
Absolutely. Ed, you can feel that. You can empathize with that. I can see that. I saw it in your eyes when I was speaking.
I was told it was 4 minutes, not 3.
It could have been 4 minutes, and I can tell, Sterling, that you are a master of history. You should work that into your own speeches. So he went on for not 3, 4 minutes in this full audience. And finally, he pulled himself back. He sat down in humiliation and defeat. It was that moment, it was that formative moment that drove him forward for the next 40 years to become one of the greatest orators of the last century. He overcame a speech impediment, stage fright. He could not come up with speeches. He had writer's block all the time. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about this week, what was his process in coming up with a great speech? So today, I'm going to share with you my process. And I can assure you, it's not going to rise to a Churchillian level of greatness, but perhaps you'll mine a few nuggets out of this. And maybe at the end of the speech, you'll write me some feedback and give me some suggestions too. So over the course of Toastmasters, I've had the ability to listen to literally hundreds of great speeches out there. And I've learned from all of these. Well, some great, but hundreds of speeches. I've learned from all of them. And Lisa, I can tell that you have heard the same thing. You probably heard some really great speeches out there. You probably heard some that aren't so great too, am I right? Yeah. And Julie, I think you probably heard the same, right? Yeah. So when you think about these great speeches, there are some components to them, and it's not too hard. The recipe behind this is Sterling, you know this. Have a great sense of purpose. And Jennifer, I can see you guys talking about it. I can see you guys collaborating about this. You need a sense of purpose. And what Sterling would say is come with gusto, right? Bring in gusto.
Yeah, that's
Right?
yeah.
Enter the speech with gusto, have supporting points. Thank you, Bonnie. Have supporting points out there for your speech and enter with exit with a climax. Bring it all together. Bring it all together.
Jonas, I agree with that, bring it all together. And you have to end on a high note.
Do.
And I just feel like that's a very valid point, but not everyone gets that point all the time.
I agree.
And so I think you need to kind of help other people who don't get it.
I totally agree.
I'm just letting you know my
And-
opinion on that.
The way I overcome that, Craig, is this week when I was coming up with the speech, I didn't even get to that starting point of entering with that. I had speech writer's block that I could not get past. And as Friday and Saturday rolled around and I was getting emails and text messages, that sense of pressure built and
Yes.
built and built. So I did my first step to writing a speech. I took all of the ideas that I had in my head, wrote them down on a sheet of paper, and I started going through each one of them, crossing off the things which I wasn't really excited about, and trying to find the things that I thought that you would enjoy. I picked my first topic. I wrote a page. After I got done with the page, I'm like, there's no way that anyone other than me and maybe a Nook are going to like that. And my wife confirmed that. So I did another and another, and I finally got to this topic. I wrote one page and I wrote 2 pages down, and I hit my flow state where it was just coming out of me. And I had this beautiful speech. Enter my next step, killing the things that I love. I take this 3-page monstrosity. I cut out whole paragraphs, sentences fade away. The words that I love get scraped out of there until I have one page. And then I organize that page. I put it into topics. And I label each one of these topics in this single page in the form of a question. And as I'm going through my speech, I'm answering the questions in my speech. For instance, as many as you need, Sarah. Right now, I'm answering the question, how do I organize my speech? Once that is done, it's time for rehearsals. Now, Churchill, he had a meticulous process in rehearsing his speeches. He would say it over and over again. He would rehearse every movement until he reached perfection, consistency across his speeches. I don't have that time, that patience, or that attention. I like to think of my speeches each time I rehearse it as a unique little snowflake. They're always a little bit different. I'm always adding a little here or taking away a little bit over here. But as I say it over and over again, it starts to become me.
Jonas, the saying, practice makes perfect. Is
do.
that really accurate?
I don't think so, Greg.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
Practicing, I don't know if you've ever reached perfection.
Yeah.
But what I want to tell you guys online is when I first started rehearsing my speeches, I would read a sheet of paper and I would try to commit it to memory. It didn't work. Next, I would read it aloud. I would try to memorize each sentence. And inevitably, I would get it up in front of you. I would lose my place in the speech and I would have to start over and over again. I even tried saying my speeches in front of a mirror, which is absolutely horrific. It is terrifying. I don't recommend it to anyone. I've heard this advice before, but it is truly terrifying. I finally found the thing that works for me. And that's in the front seat of my truck, in my truck. I take this speech, I get a piece of tape, I tape it to my dashboard very carefully while still minding the road. I use it as a guide through my speech, and I cruise around Colorado. I cruise around Monument. I cruise across the country. I find places in my backyard that I've never discovered before. And like a crazy, insane person, I say my speech over and over again until it becomes me, until I don't need those notes, until I know the path that I'm going through with this speech. And then once I'm done with that, once I've committed this to myself and I know my speech, I come in here in front of all of you. I've got a little monkey on my shoulder. I'm hoping that I don't have my own moment in the House of Commons in front of all of you. And I get up, I step out, I speak the first words, and I hope that I have a Churchillian moment. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.